Welcome back to Haunted Beyond History. This is part 2 of 2 videos covering some of San Diego's darkest secrets. In part 1, we covered the Hotel del Coronado and the Star of India, 2 locations where tragic deaths left spirits behind. But those stories were just the warm-up. In part 2, we're covering something different, something angrier. What happens when you pave over graves? What happens when you literally walk on top of the dead, day after day, year after year? Some people in San Diego found out, and the answer involves car alarms, people collapsing on sidewalks, and apparitions appearing in the middle of a busy street. We're also going to meet the ghost of a woman who poured everything into creating something beautiful, only to die before it was finished. What happens when a city decides progress is more important than the sanctity of a grave? Our next location answers that question, and judging by the reports of cars stalling, people being affected, and spirits appearing in the middle of the street, the dead have not forgotten the insult. In 1849, as San Diego was a small pueblo of less than 1,000 residents, the Catholic Church established El Campo Santo, or the Sacred Field, in what is now Old Town. It was San Diego's first permanent burial ground, a small plot of land where the city's earliest residents would be laid to rest. Over the next 3 decades, at least 477 people were buried there, victims of smallpox epidemics, settlers who died in the harsh California frontier, children who didn't survive infancy, bandits, and lawmen all found their final resting place in El Campo Santo. Among the notable burials was Yankee Jim Robinson, a sailor and an alleged horse thief who was hanged in Old Town in 1852. His ghost would later become famous at the nearby Whaley House, which was built on the site of his execution. But Yankee Jim wasn't the only restless spirit in Old Town. By 1880, burials at El Campo Santo had stopped. The cemetery fell into disrepair, becoming overgrown with weeds, its wooden markers rotting away. The small graveyard seemed destined to be forgotten, and the city of San Diego made a decision that would disturb the dead. In the early 1900s, as San Diego grew rapidly, the city needed to expand its streets. San Diego Avenue was extended directly through the southern portion of El Campo Santo Cemetery. The city didn't relocate the graves, they simply paved over them.
But you left the bodies and you only moved the headstones! You only moved the headstones!
At least 18 graves, and possibly many more, now lie beneath San Diego Avenue and the sidewalk that borders it. Headstones were removed or destroyed. The exact locations of many burials were lost to time and poor record-keeping. Today, small markers embedded in the sidewalk indicate some of the known grave sites. Pedestrians walk over them every day, often without realizing they're stepping on someone's final resting place. Hauntings began almost immediately after the street was paved. Drivers traveling along this stretch of San Diego Avenue report their cars stalling without explanation. Engines die suddenly, even in well-maintained vehicles. The car will sit dead for several minutes, then mysteriously start again as if nothing happened. Some claim this happens most frequently when driving directly over the graves. Locals whisper that accidents along this section of road occur with more unusual frequency. Minor fender benders, unexplained swerves, cars that seem to lose control for no mechanical reason. Pedestrians walking the sidewalk over the graves report sudden, overwhelming sensations, dizziness, nausea, a crushing feeling of sadness or anger. Some describe feeling a heavy weight pressing down on their chest, making it difficult to breathe. The sensations vanish the moment they step off the graves. Late at night, people walking through Old Town have reported seeing figures in long dresses, old suits, clothing from another era. The apparitions stand near the cemetery gates or appear to float across San Diego Avenue. When witnesses approach, the figures dissolve into mist. Inside the cemetery itself, which is still accessible to visitors, people report hearing whispers in Spanish, the sounds of children crying and footsteps crunching on gravel paths when no one else is present. Paranormal investigators who've studied El Campo Santo have recorded unexplained voices, dramatic temperature drops, unusual electromagnetic field readings near the grave markers embedded in the sidewalk. Some psychics who visited claim to feel anger from the spirits, a rage at being disturbed, forgotten, and literally walked over by modern city that grew up around them. Whether the stories are true or simply urban legend, fueled by guilt over the disrespectful treatment of the dead, El Campo Santo remains one of San Diego's most unsettling locations. The souls at El Campo Santo were forgotten, nameless graves buried beneath progress, perhaps angry at being erased from history. But what about someone who had everything? Fame, wealth, and legacy tied to one of America's greatest presidents? What happens when that person loses it all and refuses to let go? Our final location takes us from the graves of the forgotten to the halls of the powerful. A luxury hotel, a man who poured his fortune into creating something magnificent, and a ghost who still walks these halls, unable to accept that his dream and his life are over. In 1910, one of San Diego's most luxurious hotels opened in the heart of downtown. The U.S. Grant Hotel was financed by Ulysses S. Grant, Jr., son of the Civil War general and 18th President of the United States. But the hotel wasn't just Grant Jr.'s vision, it was a passion project for his wife, Frances Fannie Chaffee Grant. In 1895, they purchased the old Horton House Hotel. 10 years later, they made a bold decision, tear down the old hotel and build something magnificent in its place. Fannie was the driving force of the project. She spent countless hours working with architects, selecting materials, choosing every detail of the Italian marble, the crystal chandeliers imported from Europe, the luxurious furnishings that would rival the finest establishments in New York and San Francisco. This just wasn't a hotel, it was her legacy, her contribution to the city she'd come to love. Construction began in 1905, but tragedy struck when the 1906 San Francisco earthquake disrupted lumber supplies, delaying the project for years. Fannie never gave up. She pushed forward, determined to see her dream completed. But less than a year before the hotel's grand opening, Fannie Chaffee Grant died. She was only 52 years old. The U.S. Grant Hotel opened almost a year later, on October 15, 1910, without her. Grant Jr. remarried in 1913, just 4 years after Fannie's death, and moved into the hotel with his new wife, America Workman Will. They became permanent residents of the very hotel Fannie had poured her heart into creating. And for over a century of being a successful hotel, guests and staff will tell you that Fannie never left either. Fannie Grant's spirit has been seen in the U.S. Grant Hotel since shortly after it opened in 1910. Witnesses describe her as a woman in old-fashioned white dress, walking through the hallways with purpose, as if she's still inspecting her hotel, making sure everything is perfect. When approached, she vanishes. Some believe Fannie is unhappy. She died before her dream was completed, and then, just 4 years later, her husband remarried and brought another woman to live in the hotel Fannie had designed. Hotel staff report items moving on their own. They'll set down cleaning supplies, turn around just for a moment, and find them gone, or relocated to the opposite side of the room. Seconds, that's all it takes. The ballroom was particularly active. Workers report placing items down during setup for events, centerpieces, equipment, personal belongings, only to turn around and find them completely missing. Some items reappear later in strange locations. Others are never found again. Lights flicker throughout the hotel. Guests report their room lights turning on in the middle of the night. Television switches on by itself. Doors that were locked open on their own. The U.S. Grant may have other spirits in residence. In one documented case, 2 different guests staying in different rooms on the 5th floor woke to see a man standing at the foot of their beds. Both sightings occurred on the same night, just minutes before an earthquake struck San Diego. Was someone trying to warn them? Employees who work late shifts report hearing footsteps in empty hallways. The sound of doors opening and closing when no one else is on the floor. Voices, conversations coming from unoccupied rooms. When they investigate, the rooms are empty and silent. The U.S. Grant Hotel has been investigated by paranormal researchers multiple times. Many have experienced unexplained electromagnetic readings, temperature fluctuations, and electronic voice phenomena that seem to respond to questions about Fannie. Hotel workers have their own name for the activity. They simply call it Fannie, as in, Fannie was active last night, or Fannie moved my stuff again. Whether Fannie Grant is unhappy about her husband's remarriage, frustrated she never got to see her finished hotel, or simply unwilling to leave the legacy she worked so hard to create, one thing seems certain: the U.S. Grant Hotel's most dedicated resident never checked out. From the tragic story of Kate Morgan at the Hotel del Coronado to the young stowaway John Campbell who fell to his death aboard the Star of India, to the disturbed graves of El Campo Santo and the restless spirit of Fannie Grant, a woman who died before her dream was complete, San Diego's haunted history is as rich as it is unsettling. These aren't just campfire stories, they're pieces of real history, real people who lived, died, and according to many witnesses, never truly left. So the next time you visit San Diego, take a moment to explore beyond the beaches and theme parks. Walk through Old Town at dusk, step aboard the Star of India, book a room at the Hotel del Coronado or the U.S. Grant. You might just encounter something, or someone, from San Diego's darker past. If you enjoyed this episode about Haunted San Diego, please like and subscribe for more Haunted Beyond History. It really helps. And let me know in the comments, have you experienced anything strange at any of these locations? Until next time, stay curious, and thanks for watching.